Howdy doody, everybody. I want to talk about something really quickly. So we're going to try to do anyway. Over the past year, you've heard this meme about an embryo inherits 72,000 genes from one parent, 72,000 from another, totaling 144,000. And that if you use CRISPR-Cas9 or something to splice in a tertiary parent because you want your baby to have blue eyes, red hair, and no freckles, well, another 72,000 genes would give you 216,000, the total of 600 times 60 times 6. All right. Pretty quickly, articles go up putting this thing down. As an example, let's say there's a geneticist at Rice. An article goes up citing him as saying that that comes from poor understanding of the science and that it's not true and it's total nonsense. Well, all rumors start from a kernel of the truth, and where there's smoke, there is fire. So the only logical thing to do here is try to understand where that rumor or meme originated from. I've had trouble doing that, but last night I tried to look into it and did come across a paper about the sequencing of 20 separate human genomes. And in this paper they try to assert quite definitively that there are 144,000 single nucleotide variations per human genome. Okay? So what this means, assuming that that information is where this meme came from, the only misinformation is them calling a single nucleotide a gene. A gene is made up of thousands, millions. I think the biggest, we've got a gene is a section of your DNA made up of a bunch of base pairs of nucleotides. Some genes are only a few dozen nucleotides in length. Some are several, up to just over 2 million for the gene that encodes dystrophin. Is that what it's called? Whatever. Listen, everything else is sound. Let's slow down. This information is very important because here very shortly in the future we're going to talk about an osmosis Jones type existence. We're going to talk about some scientific research that you might have missed over the past few years that really illustrates that we do in fact live in a reality that is stranger than fiction. This is a simulation, but it's a simulation created by biological life. But make no mistake about it, you're here. So yes, in every human genome, I'll end this video, I'll try to keep it under 10 minutes here, but we'll end talking about the Hermetic principles, okay? As above, so below. And the seventh Hermetic principle, the hardest one, the one that probably no one that's ever lived has been able to understand. Except maybe Enoch. There is the yin and the yang. There's the masculine and the feminine, and they are the same. We're going to talk about that. I have some very stimulating things to say. If you were interested in anything having to do with metaphysics or Platonic philosophy or topology, geometry, simulation theory. We've got some stuff to talk about. But make no mistake about it, my only goal here is to convince you of the truth. So, as above, so below, in the merriment of masculine and feminine. You take a cell, and inside of that cell is a nucleus, and within that nucleus is the entire genome. For not just that cell, but an entire human body. In every cell, in every human body, exists the entire image of what a man should be, what a woman should be. And every single one of those different versions of that DNA strand has 144,000 minute little alterations that are what we call a point mutation, right? So like leukemia is caused by a point mutation like this. I'm not 100% certain, but it's a single nucleotide variant. It's one half of the base pair that's been altered to be a different letter, and that creates an entire disease. I don't know, again, I don't know a lot about genetics, but these single point variations are mutations. If 144,000 people are on the earth and they're the faithful remnant, then a person must be the equivalent of one half of a base pair, one single nucleotide. This isn't to say that you are a walking nucleotide, but yeah, there's a lot to get into. Your life affects the content, the orientation, the color, the tone of one single nucleotide. Now, within that cell is its nucleus, and that entire human genome is about 6.4 billion individual nucleotides, right? 3,200,000,000 base pairs. Isn't that about the total population of the Earth? I mean, I know it's grown a little bit since the late 90s when I was learning about this stuff, but I remember it being about 6.5 billion people on the Earth. So as above, so below. You've got a person, and within that person are billions and billions of cells. I don't know how many cells are in a person. I reckon it's hundreds of billions, right? I don't know. But each one of those cells has an entire nucleus within it that has another 6.5 billion nucleotides walking around. And each one of those nucleotides is another whole human, living another whole hallucinatory experience. And so this is where you start to realize significance is irrelevant. Size doesn't matter. A fly lives for 2 weeks, but its lifespan might feel like 100 years to it. Do you think a blue whale feels like it lives for 1,000 years? Who knows? I think about this all the time. What's the difference between a virtual particle and a fermion and a boson? You can have a virtual photon. What makes it virtual is the fact that it only exists for a short period of time. But what if you lived for 100 billion years? What if you lived for trillions of years? Every single fermion would degrade. Every single particle is virtual. You only think that things aren't virtual if you have a short enough lifespan. So, we got to talk about some really cool stuff. I'll leave you with this in your head. In order for the stuff in the Bible to be correct, then the cell that we're living on must be an egg cell that's been fertilized. That's what the Bible tells us, I think. We got a lot more to talk about, but that's what's happening. Every single living universe, every single reality, every single planet. I mean, if this theory is correct, then the Earth must be the nucleus of a cell. And the stuff that we see around us goes all the way out to the Oort cloud, and that's the lipid bilayer. And beyond that is interstitial fluid and other cells. and we're observing it all wrong. There's waters above the firmament. This has been, I mean, the earth is obviously not flat, but there's obviously a firmament and waters up in space because they're faking everything. You guys have seen the bubbles, right? You guys have seen the mouse, right? You guys understand that they're faking it all, right? Why? Well, I don't know. But it seems to me that we're living in a cell. And the cell that we're living in might be a fertilized egg. If that's the truth, glory to the Father. The Holy Spirit of truth shall reveal all truths. We're going to find out.